Hello everyone, in this video I want to show you how you can set up RAG graph in n8n. So basically when we are using simple RAG systems, our query is checked for similarity in our vector store, right? So if our query falls here, it's gonna retrieve all the information here that are similar to our query. That's a simple RAG system. But in a more advanced RAG system, in a knowledge graph, we can also capture the relationship between each individual points, right? And for instance, if we retrieve this point, we can also understand how this point relates to other points in our data set. So let's say you have information about insurance, right? And this area is about what is included in your insurance policy, and here is what's excluded from your insurance policy. But if you ask your RAG system, okay, what's included in my insurance policy, it might not understand that what might fall at the end of this section is actually what's not included in your insurance, right? Because your typical RAG system does not understand relationship between individual chunks. It only understands individual chunks. It does not understand the individual relationships. And to just give you an example, if you're using a simple RAG system, we only have information about Steve Jobs. Who was Steve Jobs? And that's only what we have in the specific chunk. But when we are using a GraphRAG, we also have the information about Steve Jobs, but we also know how Steve Jobs relates to iPhone, how Steve Jobs relates to Tim Cook, how Steve Jobs relates to Apple. And that's what makes it valuable, right? And in order to set up this GraphRAG in n8n, we're going to use a tool called LightRAG. And in order to deploy LightRAG, we are going to use a tool called Render. So if you go to the Google and if you just search for render.com, you're going to be navigated to this web page. And once you're here, basically click on deploy your app for free. Do that. And it's pretty easy, don't worry about it. Just click on new and then click on web service. Once you do that, go to existing image, and here we need to input our GitHub information. So basically, we are going to use LightRAG. So we are going to input the LightRAG's GitHub information, and basically we need to copy this information right here, and we need to paste it here. That's the only thing you can do, and just copy what I did, and then click on connect. And you can just scroll through this information, and you don't need to pay. You can just use the free version, and then just scroll through. And here we need to add some variables. And the first variable we need to add is the authentication account. So if we go to GitHub, and this is the LightRAG's GitHub. If we go to the env.example, and here you can search for the authentication info. So auth accounts, and you can just copy this and basically paste it right here. And here you need to provide your username, which is the first value, and then your password. Don't worry, I'm gonna delete my password after this video. That's your first value, and you also need to provide your LightRAG API key. So just type this in, and then just come up with a random API key. I'm gonna delete my API key after this video, but you can just set up whatever you want. And after you've done this, we need to add some environment variables. And basically the first thing we need to add is the embedding binding. So, and I'm gonna copy this to show you exactly where this information is located in our document. So not this one, 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 but this one. So grab this information here and paste them here. But we need to make some changes here. Basically, you need to remove all these. And once you have removed all of these basically signs here, then you need to provide what embedding model we want to use, and we need to provide it with the embedding dimensions, and we need to provide it with the API key. I've already done all of this, so I'm just going to come here and I'm just going to copy all this information and I'm going to paste it here. That's basically all we need to have. So we are using OpenAI for our embedding model, and this is the host name for OpenAI models. We are using embedding tree small. The dimensions is this one, and this is my API key. Don't worry, I'm gonna delete my API key after this video, and then I'm gonna add the variable. And the second variable we need to add is basically the LLM binding. So I'm gonna go to my GitHub and I'm just gonna search for OpenAI and I'm gonna look for the LLM binding information. Basically, we need this information, and I'm gonna come here, I'm just gonna paste it. And the only thing we need to change is basically the API key and the LLM model we are using. So I've already done all of these, and for the sake of time, I'm just gonna copy and paste the values. Okay. As you can see, we are still using OpenAI. We are using GPT-4o mini, and this is our API key. So I'm gonna add these variables, and this third thing we need to add is the concurrency information. So I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm gonna go to my GitHub, and I'm gonna search for the concurrency information, and basically copy all of these and come back here and add this information here. So here we need to remove some of the information. Basically, you need to remove these parts and you need to remove all of these comments. And also we need to update this max value. I've already done this, so I'm just gonna copy what I have here and I'm just gonna paste it here. You can do the same thing. I didn't change anything. I just removed the prompts, and I then basically updated our max value. That's all I did. Okay, don't worry about it, just copy what I did, add the variables, and now that we have done all of these, we are good to deploy this tool. So deploy web service, and once we do that, it's gonna deploy the tool. It's gonna take a while, but it's gonna provide us with the link we can later use to access LightRAG using our username and password we just built. I'm gonna connect with you once the link is available. Okay, so I just got the link. I'm gonna click on it, and we're gonna be navigated to this web page. So just input your username and password. And if you don't know what you use as a username and password, you can come here, you can go to your environment, and you can basically use the values you used here. And I already know my values, so I'm just gonna log in, and here we can upload the document we want to use for our RAG system. So I have a very simple document I found online. It's the golf course manual. So I'm just gonna open that, and basically once I do that, it's gonna upload the document and it's gonna create a knowledge graph and everything we want to use later. So I'm just gonna connect with you once the document is processed. Okay, so the document was just processed, and here if I go to the knowledge graph and refresh this page, you can see the exact graph I showed you earlier. Basically, we have some big dots, and those big dots are connected to a smaller dots. So as you can see here the value is the golfer, and the golfer value in turn is connected to many other smaller nodes, and those nodes in turn are connected to other nodes. And that's what makes this whole tool valuable, right? Because we can understand the relationship between the points. And if I, for instance, click on this, you can see that it's connected to this is the rules of golf node, and it's connected to the following nodes, and it's also connected to this. And if I click on it, and if I click on basically the description, you can see that each node has a description. And if I go to retrieval, we can check how the model works. Okay, so tell me about the golf cars, and I'm gonna send this information, and we're gonna get the value here. So this is just retrieved from our document, and as you can see, it knows how each basically component of the data set we have, of the PDF we have, is connected to other components. And here we can also click on only need context and delete this, and it's only going to provide us with the context on what nodes are connected to the golf course node. But we are not going to do that, so I'm just going to go to the API, and here I'm going to show you how you can connect this LightRAG to your n8n. And in order to do that, I'm going to come back to n8n. I'm going to click on this plus sign. I'm going to search for AI agent, and here I'm just going to connect it with my chat model, which is OpenAI, and then I'm going to give it a simple memory, and also we are going to give it the HTTP request tool. And here we need to provide this value, and in order to get it, we need to come here, we need to go to the query section, and if we click on this blue button here, we are going to get the value we are looking for. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it right here. I guess I can remove this part here, and I'm just going to click on import. And as you can see, all of the values are filled, and we need to add some things. First thing we need to add is the authentication. So if I come here, the authentication is none, but we want to use a generic credential. So I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to use the header authentication, and I want to click on create new credential. And here we need to provide the name and the value. And in order to do that, we need to come back to our LightRAG, and we need to click on authorize. And here we need to provide our API value. So what API value you came up with, use it here. And if you forgot it, basically come here and find your API information, which should be the following. Yeah, I already know my API information, so I'm just gonna type it and authorize. Then I'm gonna come to the query section, and I'm gonna click on this again, and this time, as you can see, we got X API key value. So I'm just gonna copy that, and I'm gonna come to n8n, and I'm gonna paste it as the name, and the value is basically whatever API key you came up with. So click on save, credential successfully created. And the next thing you need to come up with is this part right here, body content. So body content should be using fields defined below, and the name, in order to find the name, we need to come here to the LightRAG, and we need to click on a schema. And as you can see, we are looking for the query. So I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to search for the query, and the value for the query is going to be filled by the AI. That's it. We are good when it comes to this node. I'm just going to save it, and now I'm just going to let my AI agent know that it has access to the following tool. And let me just name it, and I'm going to call it the golf expert. Good. And save. And now we need to provide our system message. So for the system message, I'm going to paste the following. I'm basically telling it to use the golf expert tool, and do not provide the responses yourself, because sometimes, especially if the answers are too obvious, the AI tool is just going to answer the question without relying on the RAG system. So I'm just going to paste this here. I'm just going to save it, and I'm going to ask the question, what is a golf cars. And as you can see, it's using the Golf Expert tool because he asked to use the tool. And as you can see, we have a pretty comprehensive response. That's it for this video. If you like this video, please consider liking my video and subscribing to my channel. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment sections. Thank you very much.